Another silly thing too is, like I say, at some point in time and space, I actually asked a leather person or someone. I said, um, I think it actually began with my pilots because I didn't just want a sidearm um, with my pilots or my pilots to own a sidearm. I wanted it strapped to the leg. That was one of the things. Is I said, well, when you're bailing out of an airplane, when an airplane's on fire, you're not going to want to reach down and go, oh yeah, my gun here, let me put it in my pocket. I wanted a strap on the leg. Just like I want it right here, like on the leg or on the other side or somewhere, or like I want something. I want a gun actually strapped to their leg, because when you're in an aircraft or when you're in a situation, you don't want to have to like look around for your gun and be like, oh yeah, let me get my gun and my parachute and I'll jump out the aircraft. So I told my designers and my engineers, I said, I want it strapped to their body in some way. So when they jump out of the aircraft, it's going to go with them, and it's not going to fall out of the holster on the way down. It's going to be clipped in there and secure on their leg and not going to get in the way of the stick of the aircraft. I said it has to be on their leg or on their, like, probably not on their hip. I said on their actual leg, because it can't get in the way of flying the plane, and it's got to not be able to fall off when they bail out of an aircraft, and they might tumble and stuff. So it's got to be secure, like some sort of strap or something. I said, this is from America that I was actually saying this. I might have said this a little bit over in Europe or something like that when I was asking someone, and I said some sort of cloth or leather or something like that. And later on with the Secret Service or something, or one of the other groups, I said maybe. Anyway, I had a couple of different harnesses for the guns. I was like, and maybe like I had them like look at different places that you could strap a gun. So like the harness that you put over the top and put the guns to the sides, like that harness, and also the leg harness, and probably even the little cowboy 6-shooter harness. Anyway, though, but mostly it was for my pilots and stuff like that. And they also sold them publicly, of course, too. And I hear that they were pretty good sellers. But it was mostly for my pilots because I didn't want it to fall out. Anyway, but like I say, it's a funny story how one of the commanders or one of the pilots had said. I'm pretty sure it was a British pilot. He was in a bar or a restaurant or something, and they came in to kill everyone in the restaurant or the bar or a tent or something. I forget. It happened a couple of different times where people would walk in and they would actually go and use the gun. And when I heard the stories, I was like, you mean it actually worked? It actually saved someone's life? You mean I was actually right? Because I always thought about it, you put a gun against the wall, your machine gun against the wall, and then they walk in through the door and they shoot you and you're dead. And you wish you had the gun in your hands, but you don't. Because it's over there, and all you got is a fork in your hand. So, fork you later. So that's why, like I was so fussy about and adamant about them having that holster with them with the gun in it. So even when they're sitting down to eat, at least one of them is armed. So anyway, it was something silly that I was directing with my pilots and my things. And like I say, I'm pretty sure I did it from Europe. Like I was in Europe, and it was somewhere before Berlin and the carpet bombing and stuff when I was doing all this and becoming rich, I guess you could say. But it was like, I just worry about my people. I was like, I'm worried more about my people than the actual money. It's like, the money's great, but, I don't want my people to ever be caught off guard. It could happen, does happen sometimes, and I don't want it to happen to my people. So that's why the 45 and the nice guns and everything else like that. I was like, I know I'll tell my people not to use them, but there could come that day when it might be necessary. And I don't want to be the person to. I said several times. I was like, I don't want to be the person to sit there and be like, damn, if only I had done that, my people could still be alive. I was always really fussy about that. I didn't want to be the person that's like, well, you could have all lived, but I was too cheap to get you a little harness and think about it beforehand. So So I didn't want to be that leader. Like I wanted to be the leader that gets to at least at least someone will come home. So anyway, maybe that's why my people were laughing a little bit, because maybe it's because before the bombing of Berlin, I had been so anal, so fussy. I was like, this has to be perfect, and that has to be perfect, and everything has to be just perfect, just in case. What if this happens? What if that happens? What if you go behind enemy lines? What if? I was always like really fussy about. I had been so fussy about what if this outcome happens, or what if that possibly happens? What are you going to do then? We need to be ready for this. And I was blowing money and spending money like water and just directing people, and people are like, we don't know why. It's a waste of money, but okay. The leader says we should do it, so we're doing it. So, and then came the darkest day of my life. The day it actually was needed, or something like that. Anyway, like I say, even with your children or with your country, you prepare them as much as you can. And then comes that day. The day you always hope never happens, but maybe it comes. Maybe it doesn't come. Anyway, me from Europe, it came. I was no longer a leader. Everyone knew, or someone knew every single procedure. Someone knew where all my top people were. Someone knew how to get to me. And like I say, they went right for the throat. Just like that. It was like 1 minute there had been civil war and it was all over, and the next minute it was like, did not know what hit me. And bombs were falling from the sky. So yeah. Anyway, very interesting experience, and not one I ever wish to repeat. Kind of made me wish I wasn't a leader, but oh well, There's still 7 billion humans today, so something I did worked. Anyway. Anyway, but it didn't end, like I say, too. Then came the lining up of people in the street, and they were just pop, pop, pop. Give us your leader. They wanted me. I had been the leader of Britain and France and negotiator, and I had been the head inventor, and they would talk about the films of the people that were lined up in the streets. And they would go down 45 at a time. Just bullet in the back of the head, each one. Sometimes they would skip one, just to fuck with them. Oh, you lived today. Kill you tomorrow. Anyway, it's not talked about in the history books, but yeah, they did that. They would line up people, and they would bring the people out of the houses. They would put them, like, hands down, head down, kneeling, and then they would go down the line with the gun, like this. They'd go pop, and then sometimes they'd skip one or skip two, and then they'd go pop. And that's not talked about in any of the things. They just pulled the civilians out of the houses. Didn't matter, Jews, non-Jews, Polish, Russian, it didn't matter. Just everybody out of the house, line up in the street, and then, or they'd skip one or two. I knew about it. Anyway, it was the worst days of my life. As if the carpet bombing wasn't bad enough. Then came that. Same streets that I had helped finance and build were running red with blood. I didn't know why. Who would do this?